This weekend, Wonder Woman Flight of Courage opened to the general public, and I had the chance to ride it 3 times. This video is not technically a review, but I will give my thoughts after the intro. I wanted more to focus on what Wonder Woman does for Magic Mountain's coaster lineup. Was it the right fit? But most importantly, how does Magic Mountain's coaster lineup stack up with other parks in the nation and the world? In today's video, I'll do my best to answer all of these questions, and of course, I will talk about how Magic Mountain's Cedar Point rivalry is affected by this edition and what it means for the future. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. I wanted to quickly mention that I want to do some type of Q&A video sometime in the near future, so please give me any questions in any comment section of my videos or in the community post. Basic personal questions are fine, and of course coaster questions, but please don't send me anything weird. Anyway, quick note, this is my last normal video before my 2-week European trip. I hope to do some kind of Plopsaland to Pan vlog or something along those lines while I'm there. Enough intro, let's dive in. Wonder Woman Flight of Courage is an RMC single rail coaster that opened as Six Flags Magic Mountain's 20th coaster, giving them the largest roller coaster collection in the world. I'm not a person who cares a lot about theming, but the sign outside looks great, and the indoor queue is decent and features a lot of information about the goddesses and a few swords. Anyway, something I do care a lot about is operations, and this coaster has fantastic operations. It honestly has the best capacity of any coaster at Magic Mountain, which is crazy considering it's a single rail coaster. Both days I were there, they were running 3 trains, and that moving loading station just does wonders, and I think every coaster should have something like that. The line was longest on pass holder preview day, being an hour and a half, but on Saturday, both times the line was around 30 minutes. Last quick note before I talk about the ride itself, the loose article policy is a little weird. It was way better on Saturday than Friday, but you put your bags in bins or optional paid lockers before going up the stairs. It's a little strange, but I think it's totally worth it to allow for the moving loading station. Moving on to ride experience. The way they load a train essentially allows you to take any seat you kind of want. I never got to ride it in the very front or very back, but I got 1 second row ride and 2 second to back row rides. Let me tell you, these experiences could really be 2 different rides, and you should try both. I personally kind of preferred the front because the airtime's a little bit more floaty and comfortable, while the back is pure insane ejector. The first drop in the back row is crazy, especially considering how this thing rockets up the lift hill. Another point I want to make is about the restraints. The soft strap over the shoulder restraints don't bother me and are infinitely better than the terrible comfort collars on West Coast racers. But the way they come down on the legs is kind of awkward. It's almost impossible to leave room, and even if you have a little out of the station, the first drop will staple you like crazy. The airtime is a little uncomfortable with these stapled lap bars, and let me tell you, this coaster has a ton of airtime. The first drop is great in all rows, floater in the front and wild ejector in the back. That camelback gives great floater airtime in all rows, and you even get a pop of airtime off the turnaround and the mid-course brake run. Another quick point, this ride does not stop at all in the mid-course brake run. It flies through, making the second half super crazy. Anyway, all of the inversions are snappy, and the 0G stall gives great hang time, but the 0G roll is definitely my favorite inversion on the ride. It's really snappy, and in the back row you can see the train go through it ahead of you, and you're just waiting to be whipped into it. It's one of my favorite inversions, period. Talking about the second half, I think the ride gets a little bit closer to its Raptor origins, as the train flies through a series of off-axis airtime hills and an overbank. It's definitely the most aggressive part of the ride in my opinion, but the airtime is great. Overall, Wonder Woman is very smooth, and it's definitely a ride that's good to look at. All in all, I'm a big fan of Wonder Woman. In my opinion, it's number 2 in the park, just behind Twisted Colossus, and just ahead of X2. I think this ride was a great fit. A few pipe dream options come to mind when I think about what I would rather have seen. A Giga is obvious, but the park didn't have a single rail coaster, and it's really different from anything else in the area. I know a lot of people were complaining that they just built it for silly records, but this is a genuinely great ride, silly records aside. If you've never ridden one of these single rail coasters, I highly recommend a trip to Magic Mountain, or even if you're a Railblazer. Both rides are wildly different. Let's talk about how Wonder Woman changes Magic Mountain's ranking of parks in the country. I'm so sorry, but I just don't think even after Wonder Woman, Magic Mountain has passed Cedar Point. They're definitely number 2 though, but even that could change with RMC Wildcat at Hershey Park. Magic Mountain just lacks that ultra elite coaster that a park of this caliber should have, I'm not talking top 10, more like top 3. Twisted Colossus is elite and my favorite in the park, but I think after my summer trip, it'll be in the bottom half of my top 10 or out of it altogether. I know some people think X2 is the best ride in the world, and that's great, but that ride definitely requires a select taste in roller coasters. A ride like Fury 325 at Carowinds would give Magic Mountain the best lineup in the world, period. But as of now, I have them slotted at number 2, just behind Cedar Point. But if that RMC Wildcat turns out to be ultra elite, I may have to bump Magic Mountain down to number 3. But what does the addition of Wonder Woman tell us about the future of Magic Mountain? I think the future is bright. I didn't see a single person come off Wonder Woman who didn't look like they had a good time. Even my friends who aren't roller coaster enthusiasts in the slightest enjoyed Wonder Woman. I think if Magic Mountain continues on this path of adding a new coaster every few years and updating the area around it, it could become one of the best parks in the world. Cedar Point is obviously in trying times right now, as I've already talked about, so if this keeps up for a little bit longer, Magic Mountain could be better than Cedar Point, especially if they remove Top Thrill Dragster. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Have you had the chance to ride Wonder Woman? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave a question for the Q&A. I'll see you guys in the next video.